Get ready for a new episode of Eating My Soup and Minding My Business with your host, Tamika, the Therapy Diva, where we share love, light, and all things fabulous. Grab your cups and get ready. Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Eating My Soup and Minding My Business with your host, Tamika. Hey y'all, I am here. Let's get right into it with our soup of the week. This week's soup is a vegan chili, and I love chili. My mom used to make chili all the time, and of course, as a kid, you don't necessarily want to rush and eat it all the time. But as an adult, I've grown to love it. It has been one of the things that has just been like super duper duper amazing to me. And I love chili. I love to make it. And, it's just something that I find to be really fulfilling, nourishing. And it's one of those things that can just, it just goes through all generations. Everybody loves and likes chili. And there are various ways to cook it, but I am going to show you how I cook a vegan chili. I also cook regular chili, which I may end up showing you that at some point, but the ingredients are pretty much the same with the substitution of certain meats. Of course, I substitute an actual ground beef, turkey, sausage, or whatever for the grounded vegetables that you can put into it. So I hope you will take this and enjoy it, try it at home. I love it. My husband loves it. He's vegan, and I like to cook it for him. And sometimes I like to cook it because it gives me all of the flavor that I like without the extra from the meat. So enjoy my vegan chili, and I will, of course, show you all of that here. So while we are going through this vegan chili process, let's talk about some other people's business. Because while we're eating soup and minding our business, other people's business sometimes slip into the pot. This week I wanted to talk about PreNups, PostNups, and oh no Nups. PreNups, PostNups, oh no Nups. PreNups, PostNups, oh no Nups. I have just made my own little song up with this, right? I know. Well, in PreNups, recently Candy Burris and her husband Todd Tucker recently announced that they were going to be divorced. Everybody had a sigh of, oh my God, Mama Joyce said this. But in doing so, if you guys were watchers of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, then you know that Todd and Candy had a prenup. They had gone through, and there was a big battle about, having the prenup. Well, the streets that Mama Joyce used to be on, the streets are saying that the prenups are being contested, honey, and that Todd might have a case for saying that this prenup he was signed under distress and that it wasn't fair. So, would you marry somebody who mandated that a prenup be included? If you were getting married, would you ask for a prenup? Let's say you're already married. Would you now go into a postnup? A postnup, in case you didn't know, is an agreement that's made after you've already said I do. So we got together, we said I do, we are doing, but we decided that something about what we're doing needs to change and that this person is no longer doing it for us. Would you do it? There has been a lot of chatter in the streets that Mama Joyce was on saying that the prenup was no good and that Todd had grounds to contest the prenup, saying that these things were done under distress and that he was not being compensated fairly. So I wonder if this would have been a good time for Todd to say, well, let's get a postnup. So a postnup let's go through terminologies, I guess. For entertainment purposes only, this is not legal advice. I am not a lawyer. I do not play one on TV. However, I could if I wanted to. But a prenup is something that you do prior to saying I do. This is a pre-agreement about how we will conduct ourselves should this nuptials not pan out. Should we find ourselves on the other end of saying I do, saying I don't anymore. Okay? Post-nup is what we do after we've said I do, and we decide that, hey, there are assets and things that we need to protect now. Maybe we didn't know these things when we got married. Maybe somebody kind of came into some additional funds, I don't know, you just decided that what was happening prior to you didn't get one done, and now you need to do a post-nup, or maybe you needed to do something in addition. So maybe Todd, within this last few years, should have gone and gotten a post-nup, which would have worked in his favor perhaps, because he could have renegotiated the terms of the prenuptial agreement. If you remember, if any of you watch the Real Housewives of Potomac, Ashley Darby did a post-nup, or at least she reported it on the show, that she and Michael were doing a post-nup, saying that, hey, the prenup we had said one thing, but now we're in a different place. Let us talk about something else, which is a post-nup. So would you marry somebody who said, I'm not going to marry you unless you sign this prenup? And are you somebody who refuses to get married unless a prenup is signed? Would you advise people to do a prenup? I personally would advise it. I think I put prenups in the same categories that I put paternity testing for men. I recommend that men go get a paternity test. This does not in any way, shape, form, or fashion indicate some error on the part of the female that's involved in the relationship. I believe that establishment of paternity is something that is a gift that should be given to the child. If something happens to you, I would not want your child to go suffering, and the surviving parent, the mom, not being able to determine if they could have access to benefits that were yours only because there wasn't an establishment of paternity. Most states don't recognize he signed a birth certificate, right? There has to be something else that says this is your child. I remember when my stepfather passed away. My mom had my brother and my sister were born prior to them being married. After he passed away, she had to go through a process of having other people around her, including his mom, his sister, some other people that knew him very well, saying that, yes, he considered these people to be his children. He didn't have any doubts about it. And included in that was me. Now, I wasn't biologically his child, but he included me and my older brother as well as his children. And that we had claim to benefits that were his. So I felt since then, and my stepfather passed away when I was 11, I had the good common sense then to know that if something were to happen to anybody else who passed away, that this would be a part of it. So as I started to have children as an adult, I would have never been offended if a guy wanted to establish paternity, because I understand how thinking about something legally before it happens, that's the same reason you get a will, right? You know you're gonna die. You're not wishing death on you. You're just being responsible, and while you have a good mind, good functioning brain, you're using that brain in order to say this is what I would or would not want to happen, right? So I think a prenup it should be in place. I think if you got $10 in your bank and he got 72 in his, let us decide who gets what, when, where, why, how. I think that if I came in with debt, I should leave with that same debt. I believe that if I spend a certain amount of time with you and I help you build an empire, then I should have some way to determine what my worth is. Now, ideally, if I help you build a business, we would be like a fee for service kind of thing. You would get paid for what you were doing, or we would have some kind of contract in that says X, Y, and Z business, then the person is going to get paid this to do that service. But let's just say some of that is just like moral support. They help to, I don't know, do a whole bunch of calls and things like that that couldn't be quantified, and they were just supportive of you while you build the business. Then I think you should be able to have some cognitive response to what this person's value was to that business. The best time to think about that, however, is not when you're divorcing, because it's often been said the person that you divorce is not the person that you marry, and the person that you marry is not the person that you divorce. So I personally say get a prenup. Like Kanye said, you gonna at 18 years you got for 18 years, male, female, whatever. Think about what it would look like and what would be fair before your emotions are involved in it, and you don't want what's best for that person. I think that that's the best way to go. So prenup, postnup, or no nup. Either get it done before, get it done after, or decide to live on your own and don't mix and mingle the legalities of the thing. That's the Therapy Divas version of what should happen. What do you think? Prenup, postnup, no nup? Or girl, be quiet, I'm saying I do because this is my man, my man, my man, my man. And this is my gal, we got this. I want to know what you think. Am I in the minority? Should you get a prenup? Should you get a postnup? Or should it be just, oh no nup? Comment below. Okay, I had to take those glasses off because the glare was bothering me. And I just want to let me give a shout out to this nice skin that don't really need makeup. I ain't put on nothing today, okay? I just washed my face because I'm going to, after I leave doing these sessions and filming today, the girl is going to go work out, and I don't have time to keep changing my face all day long, okay? That's why we take care of ourselves. That's why we eat well, we drink our water, we mind our business while we're eating our soup, okay? So let's get to our favorite section, tea or toss. This segment, one of my favorites. So we'll start with the outfit of the day, of course. Outfit of the day. See my little skirt? Oh, it's a dress. So I ordered this dress from the TikTok shop. Y'all know I have a showcase. You follow me on TikTok, I already know it's called The Therapy Diva. Please go follow me, okay? Please do. And in that you will find this dress, around $30. You can keep it because this is a dress that can go fall, winter, spring, not summer. Please do not let me see what you're pleather in the leather wearing in the summertime. But spring and fall, do it. I added this little bodysuit to it, and call it a great day. I put on some boots. You see? That's it. That's the outfit. I'll give you a visual of the whole outfit as I'm standing up as well. But Tears House, you like this? I like it. I like it because I think I look good, honey. Okay, so let's go into our other tier toss. So I thought I'd expand this segment by going over a couple of different things. So tea or toss. The ALO Lulu trend, where everybody wants to spend a ton of money on athleisure wear. But there are all of these dupes on your Amazon and your TikTok. Elevated and expensive athleisure, tea or toss? Do we want to spend a lot of money looking like we work out? Or do we want to spend a decent amount of money and actually work out? Because I've tried ALO, aloe, however you want it, whatever it's called, I've tried it. And I felt like it was good to look like I wanted to work out or to look like I worked out. It was more on the leisure than the athletic. But when I used it to actually like work out, if I can be honest, I felt like I needed to have fake boobs and I need to have a lot of surgical, non-surgical things going on outside in order to make the outfit fit the way that it was supposed to and continue to fit that way. And I don't need my athletic wear to do that. I need to be able to move around. So with that being said, I'm more on the let me buy my stuff from the TikTok shop. Yes, it's another shameless plug for my go straight to, don't pause because I want you to watch this all the way through. But when you finish, go straight to my TikTok and go to the showcase. Don't pause this, but go straight, when you finish, go straight to my TikTok, to my showcase, or to my Amazon storefront and get some of this good athleisure wear that doesn't break the bank, so you can buy a lot, spend your gym membership, and then go work out. That's it, that's all. That's it, that's all. But you tell me, do you think it's worth the hype? Spend the extra money for the top, Lulu? Or do you think you should spend the money a little less, get the same look? Tia Toss. The other part of Tia Toss, let's see what we got next. I gotta put on my glasses because y'all know I can't read without them. I still look cute, okay? So Tia Toss.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Oh, this is something near and dear to my heart. Shipping times. This slow shipping. Or these pre-orders that say, this is a pre-order, it ships in 4 weeks. But I don't know what week you start the 4 weeks on. What is wrong with you people? You charge me for shipping sometimes, and then you turn around and ship my stuff slowly. And by slowly, Tamika really means anything that doesn't come within that week. If I order on Monday, by the time Saturday comes, I want my stuff in my hand because I want it fast. I want everything that I asked for and I paid for to come right on to me. So slow shipping times and pre-orders. Tear toss. Are we feeling those things, or are those things they need to go back to the bank and like try to fix again? Because yeah, that ain't working for us. Let your girl know. I want to know. Tear toss. Tell me. Coming up. And our next segment, that's tea to me. Okay, so this is where we kind of go over your life. This is when life happens and we get to talk about it. And that's tea for me. We're going to talk about today is anticipatory grief. What is anticipatory grief? Anticipatory grief is the grief that we feel before something happens. Usually we see this in caregiving. So let's think about if you had a parent who had cancer or who had been diagnosed with some type of terminal illness, or even a child. That anticipatory thing that you're like, when this happens, I'm going to be sad. How am I going to live alone? How am I going to go on without this person? What's life going to be like? How will I do these things? Anticipatory grief is almost like putting grief on layaway and making payments. So we know that it's going to happen, and we start to imagine what life is like prior to it actually occurring. It's one of the things that's really difficult to deal with because it's almost like you have anxiety and sadness at the same time, but you're still needing to be joyful, happy, and even encouraging. So how do you manage to be all of those things and still stay present? Anticipatory grief happens all the time. Sometimes it's, it can even happen when you're about to, you're being laid off. I know that I'm about to lose my job. There have been talks of layoffs within the city, and my job is on the chopping block. Well, what would happen? How am I going to deal with that? Anticipatory grief is one of the hardest things, I think, to treat because you have to really be focused on staying present. knowing and reminding yourself that these things have not happened, while still being mindful enough to put things in place when they are going to happen. One of the things that I would suggest during this time is to stay grounded as much as possible. Use things that help you, like some grounding exercises, because you will not unknowingly start to live in the place of things happening. And then, when things do happen, let's say someone does transition on, you are so confused and conflicted because there's a part of you that's experiencing joy and peace, because you don't have to wonder what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. Like, you have your answer, right? Anticipatory grief is, it's just one of the hardest things. When I did grief counseling or do grief counseling with people, sometimes there are people who have come and they didn't know, and they always say, it was so sad because it was so sudden. And then I think back to people who I know who are helping and loving people during their battle with illnesses. And that thought of what's going to happen, it's never settled. I have worked with people who had anticipatory grief, like they're battling cancer, going through treatment, and they're like, okay, it's going to work. But even after they are clear from cancer, say a year down the line, they're still not sure. They're not sure how to live. And I think it's because you have become, your tolerance for where your normal is not level anymore. It's been forever changed, because from the time that you have been receiving the diagnosis and all of the treatment, everything reinforces that your life is going to change. So now that it has changed and now the diagnosis has been removed, you have to figure out what a new normal is. And sometimes that is easier said than done. So have you ever had anticipatory grief? What have you done to kind of help yourself through that time? And what would you suggest other people do? Just to try to help them. Let's build a community. Okay, now it's time for my final segment, traveling tea. So some of you know that I have a good friend that's about to get married. And since I was talking about PreNups, PostNups, and no Nups, I thought, well, let me keep this marriage tradition going. And I said, let me look up some of the strangest traditions around the world as it relates to marriage. And here are my top 3. So the first one was Scotland. In Scotland, they do this thing called blackening the bride. So during this process, this ceremony, they take all of the soot, mud, tar, whatever, and they cover the bride in all of these things. The reason being, they said that it helps to prepare the family, the marriage, for hardships so that they can overcome them. Could work. Yeah, maybe we should add that. And in China, I saw this. They had the crying bride. So for about a day, the bride apparently is made to cry. She is supposed to be just crying for a day. And this is supposed to be a sign of good luck and purity. Like, she does this and it helps her, I guess, do well in life. And these are tears of joy. So we got a blackening bride in Scotland. We got a crying bride in China. And my last one was Kenya. In Kenya, one of the things that they do, the father of the bride spits on the bride's forehead and breast. Yeah. It's supposed to be for prosperity and good luck. So if you're a bride, or if you have witnessed any of these ceremonial kind of things or have some firsthand knowledge, What do you think about these traditions? What's some of the strangest traditions maybe your family has? This is our traveling tea, so we want to get to know about more cultures so that if we were ever invited to a Scottish wedding or wedding in Scotland, and we saw them tarring the bride, we wouldn't feel any way offended, and we would actually be celebratory and be able to participate. So tell me what you think. While we're eating our soup and minding our business, I thank you for watching this latest episode of the podcast with the Therapy Diva. Thanks. That's it. That's all. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.